Welcome everyone to Thrashcast episode 42. So we're getting up there with the podcast. This week we're heading back to Germany. So we're going to be talking about another interesting thrash band. But before we do our talk, we'll just usher in my partners in crime, both Jim and Billy. And how are you guys tonight?
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Good, good, good. All right. So, before we start with anything with album related and music wise, we'll just give you an update on where you can find us. Our podcast is at horrormetalsounds.com if you want to catch the link through there, or you can just simply go to our YouTube channel and you can find us there as well. You can just look us up there. You'll find Horror Metal Sounds and you'll find Thrashcast. We're easy to find, so we're doing good there. You can also find an audio version on Spotify, and you can also find us on Rumble. So there's a number of places to find the podcast if you're looking to, hear what we have to say. As a friendly reminder, just one thing I do want to point out: please like, subscribe, share the videos with your friends. We do appreciate it. The algorithm picks up all this all the time, and it helps us get the podcast out to people. And of course, we do appreciate the feedback and the likes and the comments. So yeah, do all that good stuff and help us out, keep growing. Thrashcast, we're at like 551 subscribers right now, which we're doing good. So as I remember Jim saying last week, we're trying to aim for that maybe spring, hopefully to 1,000. We'll see where we go with that, but
March 19th.
March 19th, you got it. So we'll see where we get it by March 19th, but it's good. It's all good. So before we begin with the album dissection and some bio on the band, we'll do our usual news and spinning items. And Jim, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I got a few things. I don't really have much news. What I do have is I picked up a few things this week. Good sales on Amazon for some stuff, but you got to act quick. It's like they have a flash sale, and it's like I think when they sell 4 copies, it goes back up. So but anyways, I got this here, Vanden Plas, Live and Immortal. But this is the deluxe edition with the DVD and the 2 CDs. So it's kind of long. It's longer than the live one they have for streaming. And the DVD is amazing. Like I said on the last podcast, I started getting into them. I saw it on the latest Vanden Plas on many top 15 lists, and I just fell in love with it. So now I'm going back. Billy's seen them a multitude of times, and you guys are all aware of them. I wasn't, so kind of late to the party on that, but I'm checking them out. I also picked up, this was one of the ones I got on a flash sale, the Suicidal Angels.
Yeah, I have it.
I got this for like $10, believe it or not. And then it went back up to 28 like the next day. So you got to be quick, but no, this is really good. I like it. Greek thrash metal. And I think it was on one of your guys' lists, was it?
Mine.
Yours, yeah. Phenomenal album. I can't believe I saw it always there, and I just always was buying something else. So when I got the opportunity to jump on that, I did. And I had this on pre-order, literally.
Okay.
For like, I don't know how many months. And it finally showed.
Awesome.
So it showed on Monday. I was getting ready to say, okay, I'm going to cancel my order because, but the price has dropped on Amazon now to, I think, $25.
That was months ago when you ordered it, when you
pre-ordered. Yeah. Well, I ordered it a month before it was released, and then they canceled my pre-order, and then they had the pre-order price at $45.99, and I was like, okay, maybe for like some vinyl, that's a pretty good price, but not for a CD. So I kind of waited, hummed and hawed, and pre-ordered again. Then it got canceled again, and finally it's here. And I saw some interviews with Flotsam where they're talking about, how metal is being perceived in different parts of the world, and they feel that maybe in the U.S., in North American market, it's a little more sporadic. But as much as I kind of agree with that. Also, man, and I know that's not their issue; it's their distribution. But man, you got like their distribution, get this ready to go. Some bands I get, depending again on their production company and their distribution. Some I get on the day of release, the day before release, or just a few days after release. But like months and months afterwards, it's like, and I know that a lot of this we had heard was shipped to the UK because it was selling fairly well there, and I totally
Yeah.
get that. But especially when you're pre-ordering it, you're kind of putting your money. Hey, it's here. I want it, no matter what. Send it to me. Kind of wish the bands would like just jump all over that. They, if even they're gonna make a pre-order quantity, just make a
Mhm.
pre-order quantity to get it to those fans like myself who, and I know Billy was waiting for his for quite a while on vinyl,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so we could get
AFM,
it.
eh, Jim?
Sorry.
That's AFM Records, right?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, for the history that I've been collecting, it's the hardest label. Like
Oh,
whether
is it?
I lived in the US or Canada, it's like
Yeah,
so hard to get their stuff.
really.
Yeah, it's
That's so
always been that
strange.
way.
It shouldn't be, but that's weird.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
always is.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely a killer album, and it was one of my honorable mentions. And I think, and this isn't fair to the band, I think it should have probably made my top 15. I mean, it's a thrash band. I'm a huge thrash fan. I had so much death metal on my. It's just I hate streaming. I don't mind streaming, like to do my due diligence to find stuff I don't have, and that don't mind that at all. Or maybe something that I don't know if I would be interested in buying, but like once I make that decision, I want to buy it. I want to have it in my hands. So I know that's not necessarily fair to the band, but they probably would have made my top 15. It's a killer album. I love it,
Yes.
and I'm so glad I've got it. I've been playing it nonstop. So but that's all I got, Ken.
Okay, cool. And Billy, how about yourself?
Yeah, just one news item I actually saw about an hour ago, but I thought it was pretty cool. So the Canadian band 3 Inches of Blood,
Ah,
Mhm.
who have been touring like throughout 2024. I mean, I shouldn't say throughout, but doing like shows every once a month or so. I got to see them last year, and they got a bunch of festivals set up this year, and they were interviewing the singer, great name for a singer, of course, Cam Pipes.
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
He
yeah.
he's saying the band's actually sitting down and actually discussing the possibility of doing a new album this year.
nice.
I thought
That's
that was
great.
pretty cool. Everyone, like when I saw them here in Toronto, everyone's like, "Well, is there going to be an album? Is there going to be an album again?" They're pretty cool. They're a cool band.
Yeah, they're
I
a good
guess you
band.
could say they're a bit like power metal, thrash, traditional metal, all kind of mixed together. So.
Speed, there's some
Um,
speed, some
Speed,
thrash.
yeah, no, for sure. A good combo of stuff, which makes them interesting, right? They it's not all what everybody's doing, right? So,
Mhm.
and the last album was way back in
Mhm.
2012, Long Live Heavy Metal. So, what's that, like 10, that's like
13.
13 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the Vanquish album, which I like.
Yeah.
And their
That's
albums always have cool artwork too.
oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
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 absolutely.
So that's the only news item I had.
Okay.
Very quiet on the tours and stuff. There's not a lot, a lot going on. We were like overwhelmed in September, October, and November, but
Yeah, it
this
died.
tends to be a quiet time. In terms of what's spinning, I picked this up when I was in
Oh, wicked.
Montreal last week.
I'll Ripper.
So this
Nice.
is Hell Ripper,
Great
and
album.
what better name than Complete and Total F and Mayhem? It's the
Yep.
name. It's like a compilation of some EP stuff and things. So, but these guys are really cool. I'm a big fan. Just good black and thrash. Pretty much a one-man band. James McBain from Scotland, but of course, when they tour, he brings people out on the road. And the other thing I've been playing, like I've been so happy the past week. Something that I pre-ordered that got delayed because of the strike, postal strike here in Canada. But I've been playing the Final Witch Hunt. Uh,
Oh,
Oh,
wicked.
nice.
and
That I
so
love that.
this is a 19 Sodom 1992, December 1992 in Cologne, Germany.
Sweet.
And so that comes in the great set list too. That comes in the
Yeah.
big sort of super
Yeah.
special edition set, but you actually get 3 concerts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you get a vinyl with one show, and then you get 2 CDs with shows as well.
Nice.
So
That's awesome,
anyone
dude.
who's a Sodom fan, like I highly recommend this packaging. Like it has a massive like book in the middle
Yeah,
with
that's
some of
awesome.
the most amazing photography in here.
Yeah.
Well worth it. And then you get your where the hell is it? Yeah, the CDs come right there. They come in like an alcohol glass.
Oh, that's
Uh,
great.
yeah, I think each one's a live show. So you get a show in Tokyo, and then you get one in another one in Germany. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I got the CD, just the mini one of that,
yeah.
and it only has the one show, but it's three CDs.
Okay.
But it's not I that looks really cool. I was confused when I bought it because it was a good price. And then when I got it home, I remember talking to you guys about it on one of the shows. I have it here somewhere, and I was like, why the one online, like the one that you stream, has extra live shows?
Yeah.
So, but anyways, that looks
Yeah.
cool, man.
The that thing shipped out of Europe on its way to Canada November 14th.
Oh, wow.
And it just came like a couple days ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So like a
That's
month and a
crazy.
half. But in fairness, we had a postal strike here in Canada. So
Yeah, a good month. A
I'm
good month.
assuming it's sat at the airport or customs somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, at least you finally got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
know.
cool.
I thought that was lost.
Yeah, yeah. I remember you saying that before. You were mentioning
Yeah.
you might have not been able to get
Yeah.
it. Cool. Is that all for you this week,
Yeah,
Billy?
that's it. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. I don't have much either. A couple of news items. The one that I just saw today actually was that Vader are putting out a brand new EP in April
Nice.
called Humanility. Apparently, it's all new material, and this is going to be piggybacked onto a fall studio jaunt where they're working on their next studio album that they're going to be recording in the fall. So that's kind of cool. For 2025, they're also reissuing Back to the Blind, which is a pretty cool album with a brand new cover art, apparently. So that should be kind of neat to pick up if you don't own the actual album. And they're also going to be doing some summer touring, so festival time again summer. So that's kind of neat. But one of my favorite bands, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Should be pretty cool. And then this also I saw just recently too is the passing of Manfred Schutz. He is the founder of SBB Records. He passed away on January 3rd at the age of 74. He was apparently battling some kind of long-standing illness. But SPB was a pretty decent label out of Europe. They've had Sodom, Destruction, Assassin, Iron Angel bands that they put out. So that's kind of sad that he passed away.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically all I have for this week for the news items. Not much. January is a dead month. It's just it's
Hey,
not the
Billy,
best of month.
Yeah.
just one thing on the Sodom release. So it has, I found mine here. I had it
Yeah.
in my stack of stuff, but it's got, that one comes with the redo, the remaster, live in Tokyo, and then live in Germany.
There's three live shows.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This one
Yeah.
only has the live in Tokyo.
Okay, yeah.
Did
Like
you
the
get a
one,
chance to listen to the redo and the remaster?
no, I just went right to the live stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's cool. You got to listen to both of them. I listened to
I
them song
will.
for song. Yeah.
Yeah, I was dying to hear the live stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's cool. Looks like a pretty cool release.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Man, if only they would do that with Persecution Mania.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
That's never been reissued. A copy on vinyl is a couple hundred euros.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's near impossible to get.
Okay. I have the original CD pressing of it, so it must be worth a fortune now.
Yeah, I have the CD. It's the vinyl that's really
Yeah.
going crazy. Like it's 3, 4, or $500.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. Holy. But if it's sought after and you can't get it, I mean, I can understand why people would want it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love how they released it, though. I love how they did they did a remaster, a redo, and this was, I think, $26. I had a record store. I bought it. I had their only copy. And I got to admit, that's pretty good. I mean, you think about it, you're releasing three, and then you can get 6 in the deluxe one there. I think that's pretty, or 5 or 6. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's how you do it. Updated artwork, everything's nice and slick and cool. Oh man, it's like because I know the guy who worked at the record store thought it was a new release. I was like,
Oh,
no,
really?
technically no, but
No.
yeah, I guess
Hmm.
he didn't know
That's
who
funny.
thought it was.
So if they're going to go in order, my memory, what comes next after tapping the vein? Do you guys
Oh,
remember? I can't remember off the top
oh,
of
it's
my head.
I forget too. Shit, I don't remember offhand. I think Jim's looking it up.
Yeah, look.
It'd be one of the not as good ones, I think, or
It might be. Yeah, it might be after tapping.
So you got tapping the vein, get what you deserve in
oh, get what you
'94.
deserve. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
which wasn't
Yeah,
that great of an album.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't buy that. I have it on vinyl, but I wouldn't get a special set.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have it on cassette. I mean, CD, but
Yeah. And they already did the special M16 set already, so
yeah, they
that's
did.
right. Yeah, yes,
yeah.
yes. Remember that when it came out.
Okay.
Oh well, interesting. All right, guys. So we'll start with our questions tonight. So I came up with some questions to ask you guys about, the band. And oh, in case we didn't say this off the top. I don't think we did.
I don't think we did either.
No, we did not. So sorry, folks. We are doing Exumer. So tonight it's Possessed by Fire, the debut album from this German, pretty primal rage, I guess, thrash band. The pretty good stuff. So we'll start with the questions first. So the first question I had was, basically I was looking at some reviews online for Possessed by Fire. Some say it's a second rate thrash, and some even say they're very much influenced by the Bay Area sound, which I think is true to some degree from both perspectives. But I just wanted to get your initial thoughts on their style of thrash. So Billy, we'll start with you.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one. I guess you certainly can't say they're the most original thrash band out there. So I think that's fair. They're definitely influenced by not only the Bay Area. I also hear some of the big German band influence in there. You could say the vocals are a bit destruction-like, or you can hear
Mm,
a bit of Sodom in there, and definitely you get some Slayer for sure
yes.
in the
Yeah.
riffs, and particularly the next album really has a big Slayer sound, in my opinion,
Yep.
in the riffs. And one of the knocks, I guess, is we'll talk about the song, not a knock, but "Fallen Saint." Most people have always believed that like that chorus riff is literally a complete lift and borrow and take from Slayer's Black Magic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, if you go back and listen, they do sound pretty damn close. So I'm not saying they took it, but they definitely were influenced. And I mean, I don't think Black Magic is a great song anyway. So
No.
the song where they use it's pretty cool. So I don't know. But yeah, so I guess in my view, I kind of put them in a spectrum. Like they're definitely not as good as the Bay Area original bands, not as good as the original the big three of German bands. And I guess what throws it off for me is just personal taste, the vocals. Like in a couple of these songs, the vocals are just unhinged. They're a little rough to listen to, and some people love that, and some people don't. And it's like you said, Ken. Like when you read reviews, people love it or hate it, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
this particular album. So, but one thing I give them credit for is like one particularly on this album, I do enjoy. Forget about like, do they sound like Bay Area thrash or German thrash? I actually like how they bring other styles of metal in, right? Like,
Mhm.
they aren't afraid to bring in traditional metal. There's a lot of speed metal
Yep.
parts in here, and even new wave of British heavy
Yeah.
metal. Like, there's a
Yep.
lot of things that they're pulling from the UK as well. So that's probably my favorite aspect of the band is how the songs can go like balls out thrash to like a nice sort of traditional metal or a new album section out of the blue. So that's pretty cool.
Cool. Okay. That's it for you, Billy?
Yeah.
Okay. Jim, how about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, their style of thrash, kind of to piggyback on what Billy said. I like the vocals. Like I
Yeah, me
like the
too.
high kind of reaching a little bit. It's kind of a little bit different than what you're normally listening to. And in a couple, he kind of maybe downplays them a little bit that we'll get into. But it is like from the first time you listen to it as a fan, you're probably like, whoa, what is this? And I find it maybe in some of the songs, yeah, I get the same thing where you get a lot of traditional mixed with speed metal, and I hear a lot of crossover. I mean,
Yeah.
The first song is like a kind of got a really good punk vibe to it in some parts of it as it goes on. But I can see where this band and even this album gets a little bit of kind of a little bit of those polar kind of opposite reviews because of the vocals are different than most traditional thrash bands, even in Germany and in the US. But I find it's got and not to compare them, but I find it does have a Bay Area thrash feel to it. It definitely could be like you could maybe even mistake some of the parts for sometimes Forbidden. Definitely some Slayer in there. Even some not vocally but musically, some Metallica. Even a Megadeth here and there, but not definitely not vocally. It would be just musically in those comparisons for me. Yeah.
Actually, I don't agree with that.
No?
Vocal wise, I think he does at times because I've give it like several spins on the weekend.
Yeah.
I get a little bit of Paul Baloff at times.
Yeah.
I also get a little bit of Dave Mustaine at times. I do. I hear it. I hear it just in the way he enunciates certain phrases, and I hear it. I just it's not like a major influence, but I do hear it in some of the songs.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I like the vocals. I think they work.
So do I.
I don't really okay, maybe they're acquired taste for some people, and then Billy's not really into the vocals, which is fine. I think it works for me. Like I like it because it's different. It's not.
Well, that's exactly it. It's different.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah. It's not like I mean, I know Millie has really harsh vocals in Creator, but nothing like this. This is this is like it's in a unique spot all on its own. So I like it for that reason.
Yeah, you know what? Same thing, Ken, as Mustaine's vocals. A lot of people, there's a lot of traditional metalheads who can't stand Megadeth because they hate Dave's vocals, but I love Dave's vocals. Yeah, I love these kind of screechy, the kind of evil, decrepit sounding. I mean, I think I put him as my favorite thrash vocalist when we did that in the first few episodes.
You did.
And this, I like these vocals. I don't mind it. It's different. But I can understand why thrash fans are like,
And I don't mind him when he's in his lower range, right?
Right.
Like, say 3/4 of these songs, I don't mind him.
Yeah.
But those three, particularly in the title track, where he's just like, I mean, he's singing. It's not even close to being in his range. Like it's all over the place. But we'll get there.
True. Yeah. Now, the other thing for me is I do hear a lot of early Exodus here. I was picking that up just, and the way the songs are delivered and the style. I catch a lot of that. I mean, the Slayer, obviously there's going to be references to Slayer here. It makes sense.
Yeah,
but I hear a lot of that Exodus for me. Which is what I was.
Oh yeah, Exodus is a big one.
Like, huge Exodus.
Yeah, particularly when we talk about the later albums. I mean, I hear like loads of Exodus.
Yeah, but they're a fairly influential thrash band. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
We always talk Metallica, but I don't know. Exodus is equally as influential as any other thrash band, maybe more so.
Exodus is the nuts and bolts of thrash, man. These guys just are thrash through and through. I mean, yeah, we talk about Metallica only because it's a buzz name, and the first 4 albums were phenomenal. But let's be honest. Even with the Black Album, Metallica hasn't really put anything thrashy out. No, like compared to Exodus, who's just album after album after album, bam, bam, bam. Like in fairness, if you were talking about like the last Persona Non Grata versus that Yellow album Metallica put out, like there's no comparison for me. It's the same thing with Overkill. The last Overkill album kicks that Metallica's ass.
Yeah, no, you're right. Even the Last Testament album is way fucking better than what Metallica put out 72.
And even the Megadeth album, which was a little long in the tooth, that Megadeth album, like Mission to Mars, that song kicks anything off of that Metallica album.
Yeah, I would agree. I would
Yeah.
agree. You're right.
I
You're
guess
right.
in fairness, though, Metallica is not trying to sound like that.
No.
No,
We
that's true.
wish
They're
they
not.
did. We wish they did, but
Yeah.
uh, right, they're not trying to compete with them, right? They're
They're in
doing
their own thing.
their old grandfather rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grandfather rock. That's true. That's a good point. Good
And you got
point.
to give I give Metallica praise because like when they released that album, nobody knew it was coming.
No,
Nobody knew the tour was coming till they
no.
dropped the first single. Bam, here you go. We have a new thing happening on this day, and I was like, holy shit! Like, I mean, that's massive, you know?
Well, they have their own label now, right? So
Yeah,
they don't have to bow down to record execs for anything anymore because
yeah,
they're filthy rich and
yeah.
they're giants amongst themselves, so they can
Oh
do.
yeah.
But
And I still bought it. Hey, in full
I got
disclosure,
it too.
I'm a huge Metallica fan, and I will support them. Except for Lulu, I didn't buy. Other than
I
that,
had
everything
that.
else I
I
bought.
had that. And I know Billy here is going to the Metallica 72 season show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I
That
would go.
yeah. The that'll be probably my last time seeing. I said that last time though, but
Yeah, but you
last
said you're
time,
going with a friend, right? You said
yeah, yeah, my friend really wanted to go, but I
yeah.
guess I saw them in 2019 maybe or 2018 when they
Okay.
were touring the previous album. The
Okay,
one
right,
with the
right.
four faces on the cover, or what was that called?
What you're
Oh,
talking about
Hardwired.
Yeah,
hardwired.
Hardwired. Yeah, I saw them on that tour in Philadelphia.
Okay.
The last time I saw them was I think 2012. They had a festival kind of thing here in Halifax where they played on the Citadel Hill with Coheed and Cambria, Cancer Bats, and somebody else. I can't even remember. But it was a really good show. And I don't even think that was for an album. I think it was just they were doing these tours. And I think it was about, God, there must have been 25,000 people crammed on the hill. It was actually pretty fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since Death Magnetic, but an album I like, but
Oh yeah, no, it's not
Yeah,
a
me
bad.
too. I love that album.
You know
but I
what?
wouldn't. I just
That album and Hardwired, if you took the best of the best off both, you'd have one
yeah,
kick-ass thrash album. I
yeah,
mean,
exactly. I agree. I agree. I agree.
but Death Magnetic's a good album. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. It was a good comeback album. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I
Okay.
only own the first four, Black, and then Death Magnetic.
Oh, really? I own Load.
I don't
Remember
bother with the rest.
I
I
have
And
the
bought
Black
master.
Load
was just to
driving.
complete the collection of the big box sets. Otherwise, I wouldn't own it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so we'll move on to we'll go back to our talk here, and we'll go back to question number two. So kind of similar to question one, I just wanted to know what you guys thought about comparing them to their German Brotherhood or the German acts like Destruction, Crater, and Sodom. And Jim, what do you think? Do you think their styles similar, different?
Oh, totally different. I think there's not even, for me, I don't get a German sort of background thrash sound from this album.
Mm-hmm.
And even their latest album, you guys were mentioning, I find it sounds a lot like Exodus. I
Yeah,
find this album is a lot more, I don't want to say Americanized in to try to be disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't have the creator. No, not at all. It has none of the big four band, Tankard, any of them. I don't think it has. For me, it doesn't have anything in common with those. If you were to put it on, and I not know where they were from, I would think they were from, Bay Area for sure. And I just don't think, you can take like extreme aggression from Creator, and there is some hints of maybe some even East or West Coast thrash sound to it, but they still return to that kind of that genesis of German thrash, and and it's like that through the veins of most of their albums, except for some of the albums that they tried a different thing, like same thing with Destruction, Sodom, and Tankard's generally pretty through and through the same sound. I find it's like for me it's like a 180. I don't have any comparison with it in the sense that I think they sound even from the German movement. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but that's just
Well,
my
that's fine.
ears.
Yeah, that's fine. What about you, Billy?
Yeah, I hear a little. I mean, they have some things in common with those early German albums. I mean, they're both very raw. They're both pretty wild. They're so I mean, I hear some of that. Like, it doesn't surprise me that that came out of Germany. But yeah, as I said, I hear a lot of U.S. influence as well. And like I think one of the things I said in the last question, the way they bring in some of the other styles was different than what the German bands were doing at the time.
True.
I mean, Creator and Sodom and Destruction weren't really doing that, so that sort of set them apart a little bit. But I don't know. I guess you can't deny that. If you compare them to, maybe leave Tankard out, but the German Big Three. I mean, they just didn't have the success or the
The
international
backing. Yeah.
success, the sales, the output in terms of, I mean, nothing is even comparable, right? Like that's not a coincidence. I mean, I think those German bands were, a little further ahead in musicianship and but I don't know. That's kind of my view.
But in '86, this came out in '86. Metallica, like just Metallica, for example,
Yeah.
already was in flying through their albums. And I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Metallica makes no bones about it that a lot of their background came from new wave of British heavy metal. I mean, Lars
Right.
went and lived with the Diamond Head guys for 6 months and to collect records and get the whole thing going. I mean, and you can hear that, and you kind of. I agree with Billy. You kind of can hear that too. Of course, they're German, and you're going to hear hints of it. But I just find, I wouldn't say that about Destruction's first few albums. Like their first, I wouldn't say it has a Bay Area sound to it at all.
No, 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 no.
No, no, no.
Yeah, but this
No.
definitely does for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I
Yeah,
just mean little hints of German. It definitely
yeah, yeah.
sounds more American thrash, but
Yeah, you get hints. I mean, I do
yeah,
hear destruction. I hear creator. You hear it like
yeah, I hear hints. Yeah,
sparingly.
yeah,
You can because we all like those bands, so it's easy to pick. You can pick it up in spots. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It's mostly like an American. They're very much inspired by the American, but they also had the that before they. I think they had another guitarist originally, the Paul, or wow, how do you pronounce his name? Eric Carey guy. He was from Hawaii. He
Ah,
was he was their original. He was their guitarist actually before they replaced him with Paul Seidler. And he was apparently had that American sound down pat. And the only reason why he was in the band at the start is because he was an army brat kid. So I guess his father was in the military overseas
Oh, that makes
and
sense.
yeah,
yeah.
and happened to be there. So they
Yeah,
hired him originally. But then he also came back for the second album. If you remember, Billy, you were saying
yeah,
he actually became
That's
the
a wicked
vocalist.
album.
yeah.
Yeah, on the second album.
That's a
So
different singer, though, right? If
it's
memory
him,
serves.
yeah, Paul
Yeah, yeah.
Araki.
Yeah,
Paul Arak Harry, I think is how you pronounce his name. Yeah, he was
yeah,
the singer on the second album but he was a member of the band when they started out, actually, but then
yeah.
didn't play on the first album, but then ultimately came and played on the second album when Mem left the band.
Yeah.
I
But that
think,
makes perfect sense, right?
yeah,
There were so many like Americans and
Yes.
Canadians living in Germany, right?
yeah,
Like with their military parents. That was like pretty common, yeah.
true, true,
Yeah,
true. So I think that helps to give them that American sound when you think of it.
yeah,
Like
that's true.
it really like cements it for the band. All right, so we'll move on to question number three. And now we know that they did reform again in 2008. So they broke up, came back in 2008. They did had that one brief appearance in 2021 at Wacken, where they did the reunion for that show, and then
Well, they played last Whack-It, didn't they?
Yeah, I saw them last year
yeah, yeah.
or
But I
this
mean,
year.
but I
No,
mean,
last year.
2000 when they broke up first time, they came back in 2001 to play Wacken
Oh, cool.
the
Oh,
one
okay.
time, and then dissolved again, but didn't officially reform until 2008 when Mem when basically Mem was the one who brought the band back together. So they've been more prolific with the three studio albums, and I just wanted to get what you got all both your thoughts about those three albums. What you think of them? Do you like them? You think they're worth it? We'll go with you first, Jim.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the 2019 release,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Hostile Defense. I
yeah,
thought that was really good and very. I find the later albums, like Billy had said, sound very much like quite a bit of Exodus in there, and huge Exodus fan. So for me, it's like I like it. I don't own it, and I gotta be honest with you. Fire and Damnation, I don't even remember if I even until this weekend listened to it.
Really? love
I
that
knew
song.
about the other one that was released in 2016, but the newest one I've listened to for a number of years now, and I think it's great. I probably pick it up if I come across a copy of it. But no, I think they got a pretty good. I think they have they have a pretty light catalog, but I think you know, Rising from the Sea is a wicked album as well, and just I love their album covers. I mean, I think I with their being German and their sound being the way I perceive it, I have no issues with it at all. I think they're a great band. I think they should put out. I would love for them to put out another album. I mean,
they're working on a new album.
They played Whack in the past one that Billy went to, and Billy, did you see them?
Yeah, and I was so confused. Like I was asking you about the Ken, like I think like when I came back, but like they had a young kid playing guitar. Like the guy was maybe like couldn't have been more than 21. And then what I didn't get is the singer had just arrived from New York. Like he lives in New York.
Oh,
Like, because I think Ken, I had asked you at the time. I thought these guys are all German, but he lives in New York. He doesn't sound German. He sounds like American. Maybe he's just lived there for so long. His German accent's kind of eroded. He spoke German to the crowd, but he also spoke a lot of English, and he sounded like a New Yorker. It was weird.
Well, I think I remember telling you at the time, though, Mem did eventually migrate, or at least he went to the
Oh,
United
maybe, yeah.
States. Yeah, I think I told you that. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember.
He's been here for quite a long time. So yeah, I'm not too sure. He's a very interesting fellow because he was on the first album. He left the band, and then he was the one who reformed the band in 2008 with him and Ray Mensch when they reformed the band. So it's kind of weird that he came back. But
are they on Metal Blade now?
I think they're on. Yes, they're on.
Yeah,
Metal.
see that'll help hopefully get things rolling again. I think that's what they need, a really good some great distribution and some great representation, and I think you're going to get that there.
See, I love Fire and Damnation. I thought it was a really return to what they established with the classic sound. Only they just modernized it a little bit, but
right,
some really good songs. I mean, I know they redid Fallen Saint for the album and all that stuff, which is kind of cool. But I mean, I don't mind it. What about you, Billy? Do you like any of these albums? Have you heard them at all, or?
Yeah, no. So I mean, I kind of gave. I have the first two albums only in my collection, and I never heard the other three. But like when I saw your questions, I went back and gave good listen, beginning to end of each of the three. So I'm by no means an expert, but kind of my thoughts were, the worst one, or at least for me, the one I liked the least was the Raging Tides from 2016. I mean, just nothing really stood out. It really sounded like a second tier Exodus attempt here. So. Excuse me. So yeah, I wasn't big on that. Fire and Damnation was pretty cool. I definitely hear modern Bay Area in there. I mean, vocals still bug me a little bit, but musically, I love the riffs and the guitar work. That was all cool. I probably still prefer the album we'll talk about today over that one.
Yeah.
If I'm honest. And then Hostile Defiance was one that I actually want to go back and hear again. It was one of the three that I sort of downloaded and want to spend a bit more time with it. So that one I actually heard some Creator and Destruction feel in that album, but also heavy on Exodus as well. I
like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. So that one's drawing me back to it for sure.
Yeah.
But that's based on one spin, so I'm no expert.
Yeah. I like the album too. I bought that album when it came out, so I mean, I'm with Jim on that one. It's a really good album.
Yeah,
pretty solid stuff.
So you say they're working on a new album?
Yeah, it was announced that they're in the studio for well, I think they said they announced this in 2024, so I don't know where we're at with it right now, but they are working on a new album
Cool.
as of last year. So from what I've read and what I understand. So
2025 shaping up to be hopefully a great release year for a lot of bands.
oh, I think it will be for
Yeah.
sure. I no doubt. So yeah. And then the last question, I'll take this one first. I was asking about the cover art for Possessed by Fire. So he is a mascot. They call him the masked figure. That's what he's been named. I don't know why they would choose that, but they did. But it was actually not created by the band. It was actually created by Martin Appold, who was the artist who did the mascot and the logo and the cover. So he was the one who came up with the idea. I know, Jimmy, you were saying before it's Road Warrior. It looks like Lord Humongous from Road Warrior. That's
Yeah.
what it to me. It's got that look to it, but they've used this character quite a bit on all, like in variations on all the albums that have come afterwards. The one thing I noted about that first cover is that if you look at the background with the fire, it's all in the German flag colors.
Oh yeah,
You look at it, like
that's true.
I didn't notice that at first, but I was reading a comment somebody was saying online, yeah, it's got the German flag, and I'm like, what? And I was like, oh, the colors, yeah, I can see that. So I don't know if that's intentional, but I think it's a nice little visual play there.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like the character and I like that cover. And what do you think, Billy? Do you like the cover at all, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. Like I guess is not. I don't like it as much as the Ed Repka covers that we took
Sure.
on our list before. But yeah, I mean, as you said, he's on many of them, so I definitely associate that character with the band. So I guess they were successful that way.
True.
I do find him he's a little bit cartoonish though.
Yeah, yeah,
For the
I can see
style
that.
of the music, it's not as like you never would have. I mean, it's in great contrast to like what Sodom did and Creator did on the early albums, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's very cartoony. I could see that. I like it though. I like the colors. I think the colors are really striking for me. But
Yeah. But that
yeah,
was another thing I think I didn't mention it before, but something as I was saying it, it ringed a bell. Like a difference between them and their German counterparts, right? In terms of the artwork and the image and the songs, it wasn't quite as violent either, right?
Yeah.
mm,
I mean, the early Sodom stuff and Pleasure to Kill and Endless Scene and like it's pretty different in that regard. Um,
true.
yeah, I don't get that that sense with this band.
Well, maybe it ties in with maybe it ties in a little bit with the North American audience because
Yeah,
you
maybe.
know, like when it breaks down to it, they make things a lot softer for us. Like maybe they were thinking, okay, this is the kind of the route we want to go, and we'll make it a little bit more. I like the album cover. I think it's cool. I think man, if every time I talk about Exumer, I'm always like, the one with the Road Warrior on it. Like it's just got that kind of mental thing with it. So
Well,
Hmm.
it has all the tropes, right? It's got the spikes,
yeah. And I
got
mean,
the
I love that when
leather,
that guy with the goalie mask
the
there,
goalie
Lord
mask. Yeah,
Humongous, starts demanding the gas. Oh man, he'd scare the crap out of me if I was on the other side of that wall there.
yeah. I like the Lord Humongous character from
Yeah.
that character is kind of cool. Very, very cool.
Except for I was worried about him because here he was out in first of all, it was post-nuclear war. The sun is beating down and he's just wearing like not even a muscle shirt. I mean, he's going to burn. I mean, I really hope he was using some high SPF stuff there.
Yeah, but that guy looked like he was a crazoid, so I don't know. All right, so that's cool. So we all sort of like the cover, just to like various degrees, which is cool. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so before we start with the album, I'll just do a little bit of a quick rundown about the band, the bio. They were formed in '85, so in Frankfurt, Germany. They had their first demo, Immortal in Black, and then the debut came out in '86, Possessed by Fire, on Metal Blade Records. You had Men von Stein on vocals, Ray Manch on guitars, Bernie Siedler on guitars, and Sky Barnetto on drums. So that's the core members of the band. They did call it quits in '91, and then they reformed, as I mentioned earlier, in 2001 for the Wacken Open Air. It was just a reunion show. They did a one-off, and then they split. And then they came back when Meme decided to reform the band in 2008. So he and Ray Mensch are the only two original members to come back. And they basically, the band was back in business. So it's kind of cool. For me, I think this album here, to start out, it's like 36 minutes. There's a very enthusiastic sound to it. Of course, we've already mentioned that it's a very American sound. Originally, they actually wanted to call this album The Mortal's Return, but ultimately they ended up going with Possessed by Fire, which I think is a better title for me. So then, so obviously their sound, they have a kind of sort of, I guess Exodus is the sort of the band that I think they're closely related to. Mem does come across, as I said, like Baloff, Mustaine, and maybe Schmear, a little bit of Schmear at times, for my tastes. But yeah, that's pretty much the band. So we'll just go right into the album itself. The first track is the title track, Possessed by Fire. And Jimmy, what do you think of it?
Oh, I love it. I mean, this has got that ominous intro, kind of got that thunder sound, very ritualistic, and it's like almost a minute long. And then the song cuts in, it's pretty aggressive guitar. The high-pitched singing cuts in right away. So right off the bat, you're feeling, especially if you're a new fan, you're like, whoa, like, holy shit, this is a thrash band. This is a thrash song, but it's pretty high sound, high pitch for a vocalist. I think it kind of has a good crossover mixed with a traditional vibe in the song. I mean, it's a thrash song, but I find it's very much like the band Midnight. The band Midnight from, I think it's from Wisconsin. The one-man band, pretty much. I find it's got that kind of, it's thrashy, but it's more like, it's got that crossover kind of sleaze sound to it that I like. It's definitely got a punk sound for me. It's got just like all the songs, this song has a great chug in it that cuts in around 225, and it cuts into a guitar solo, and the chorus, Possessed by Fire. I mean, that's Possessed by Fire. That's pretty cool, but I find it's got more of a traditional sound mixed with thrash, mixed with a crossover with punk, and it kind of goes in all kinds of directions, but I find it very much like a Midnight vibe. Like if you listen to the latest Midnight album from last year, it's got kind of that sound to it. Maybe it's the vocals. I don't think, I think his name is Athniar. I don't think his vocals are that high, but it's just the music and the kind of vibe has that feel for me. But I like the opening song. I think it's cool.
Okay. And Billy, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, musically, I like it. I like it a lot. This is probably my least favorite song vocally, though.
Okay.
Jim hit it. Like, you got the 20% of this song is the intro, but it's pretty cool. You got, it's haunting. You even hear a little choir in there for a few seconds. That kind of works. Then the pace picks up. I just think like the vocals here, when he goes into that upper range, I don't like. I just feel like he can't handle it. Like it just sounds completely out of tune. And it sounds like it's like this much higher than his capabilities. But in this song towards the end, he goes down into his lower range, and I don't mind it. But it just, I don't know, it's just too wild of a vocal for me. But again, maybe that's a personal thing. Like Jimmy mentioned it, I love the tempo change at 225, and you get that, mid-pace riff kicks in, the slow solo section. That's what I talked about at the beginning, the mixing of traditional, a shredding guitar solo at 3 minutes. Like my
Yeah.
favorite thing about this band are the riffs and the solos.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hands down that what makes what I enjoy in the band. So yeah, like I said, when he goes into his lower range, I'm cool with that. I don't mind it, but it's that uncontrolled upper range that I have a bit of trouble with. And then it kind of, we get another good transition, kind of at 4.5 minutes into a slower like guitar chug, and then he
Mhm.
brings clean vocals, which I don't mind. I kind of enjoy them, and there's some gang vocals to close out the track. So yeah, it's good. Like if I could, tone him down on that wild vocals in a couple spots, I'd like it even more.
It's funny. I think we all agree that the vocals are good, but in this song, yeah, he comes across a bit strained
Yeah,
in
totally. Yeah.
in the first earlier parts,
Yep.
Yep.
especially when he's like screaming "possessed by
Mhm.
fire."
Exactly.
It's a shriek, and it's like what
Yeah,
it
yeah, I agree.
kind of does it doesn't work as well. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, but I agree with the music. The music is great. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
raw
Yeah.
energy, it's bombastic, it's got that primal thrash sound. It just chugs all the way through. It's a and the one thing I'll say about we'll talk about this in all the songs is that they're short, which is good because anything longer than 5-6 minutes, oh my god, you're gonna lose me. And I like the fact that the songs are short and sweet and they kind of get to the point without trying to be overly ambitious. So that's the one notable thing I found for the album for me. All right, so we'll go to track number 2, "Destructive Solution," and Billy, go for it.
Yeah, no, so it's good. Like we
Mhm.
get another here we get like a good fast opening riff and the pummeling drums. You feel that like right off the start. Like I guitar wise, I get a Slayer feel or vibe
Yeah,
to
yeah, I
this
got
one
that
a
too.
little bit. But the vocals on this song as a whole, I don't mind. He's definitely more controlled and in that lower range. This is a really catchy chorus, so it's quite memorable. Like I really like that sudden riff change at 1.5 minutes,
Mhm.
and then it goes into the guitar solo. Just some great shredding and riffs. Really cool section. That lasts, about 45 seconds. It's really cool. Um, but then we get back to what I talked about before, slowing things down, like just past the 2 minute
Yeah,
mark. We get a really slow melodic passage, and so again, given how wild they are, it's always somewhat of a surprise when they switch gears like that, and it always works, right? They naturally can go into that traditional metal and come right back out of it. So and then get like really aggressive. And this song does it. Like some of the guitar stuff is really clean and bluesy here on
Mhm.
this
yep,
track.
yep.
For sure. And then like the pure aggression kind of takes over at just past 3 minutes towards the end. So again, I like the way they can mix the different styles.
Yeah, I think they're good at controlling tempo changes. I like how they tease it,
Mhm.
slow it down, speed up, slow it down, speed up. But they seem to do it at the right times. Like I just
Exactly. It
find,
sounds natural,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't sound
not forced.
forced or yeah. That's what that was the one thing I noticed I noted about the song.
Yeah.
And I also think there's some slight punk vibes to it
Yeah.
at times. I get that drift. What do you think about it though, Jim?
Oh, I like this song. I like the lower register on the
Yeah.
vocals.
Okay.
I mean, he drops it a little bit, and I think it sounds really cool. I got the like that 134, the wicked chug leads into that
Yeah.
solo, and I hear everything Slayer riffs, Megadeth riffs. It's really cool. The guitar work on this is so fantastic. And at 2:11, when Billy was talking about, I called it the song slows into a cool interlude, and then the solo kind of takes off at 3:15, where the song just takes off to the end. I agree with you guys. It doesn't feel forced to me. It feels natural, and the tempo changes and the guitar riffs are just so cool in this. But I like his lower register on this. I think it's a better vocal performance, even though I did like the first song and I like the vocals on it. But I like the fact that he dropped it down, I don't know, a couple of levels for me, and it felt a little bit more in place, I guess you could say. But yeah, I like the song.
Yeah, the one thing about Mem though, you're right. I think Billy's made a really good point. Is that his style is all over the map. He didn't stick to one kind of
Mm.
range. He was like up, down. Sometimes he sounded great in one song, and next song he's like, "What?" He just, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just had a hard time controlling his vocals. I'm not too sure,
It
but
could be.
I see on this album. You're right, Billy, what you said about him. You know, but
I personally think they probably would have had even more success with a more, I guess, a easier to the ears vocalist. I think
okay,
it could have made a big difference.
yeah, you're probably right. I would think that too. You're probably right. Okay, and Jim, we're going to stay with you on this one. Fallen Saint. What do you think of it? The track
Yeah,
number
this is
two.
another. I mean, I, I like pretty much my favorite song is towards the end, but I mean, you're not even duplicating anything in my mind. Come the third song, you start off with that kind of bell tolling kind of intro, but the song is fast. It takes off right away. It's a good drum track. This one,
Mhm.
that Fallen Saint kind of chant chorus, I like it. It's got a really catchy chorus for me, and then the last minute it has that fast guitar solo. But I find this one musically for me as an old musically, not vocally, as an old school Metallica vibe for me. That's what I get out of this song.
Yeah, I,
But I
I get
really,
that.
really like it. It's a good track. I mean, we're 3 tracks in, and it does get a little bit repetitive as the album goes on in some areas. But for that, I like that track. It's a good track.
You know what? When you mention Metallica, I get whiplash at times.
Yeah, yeah,
Just that,
yeah.
just that drumming, pounding chug. I get that. When I was like, I could see that. I could very much see that comparison. But so Billy, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's a cool track again. This is the one I reference where they say, they're using the Slayer's Black Magic riff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went back to play the two side by side, and yeah, it does sound pretty similar, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of, I mean, let's not focus on that because there's a lot of good stuff in the song as well. So, yeah, I mean, I like it. It kind of opens with the church bells really quick. It's a little bit more straightforward, but again, the riff and the lead work comes out. A really anthemic, like catchy chorus. I think it's probably the catchiest chorus of them all so far.
Mm-hmm.
Simple, but I like it. I mean, the first sort of minute and a half is just like super intense, like thrash. But then we get that slower section at around 145. And to me, and this is where it's odd. Like I find Mem sounds exactly like Lemmy of Motorhead.
No.
This section, like it completely sounds like Motorhead to me. Um, but anyways, it just those couple vocal lines and even the music sounds a bit like Motorhead. But then there's like a big riff, hooky riff change at like 204. That's pretty cool. Another slower section. And it's funny in that later slower section, that main riff actually has a feel. I find it reminds me of Scorpions Blackout. So I don't know if you guys, you'd have to
Gotta
hear it
listen to it
again.
again.
But
Yeah.
I mean, every time I listen to it, I keep going back to that Blackout riff. But, I don't know, but a really damn good solo too at like 255. And I like the way, that it goes back into like, it ends with this thrash and chug, and closes with, they're shouting Fallen Saint, and that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
then a riff comes back, and yeah, it's good. Like, I like the track.
Did you guys also? Because I picked it up. There's a bit of an echo reverb on his
Yeah.
vocals, a little bit.
Yeah.
That was a bit interesting because I didn't really hear that in the first two songs, and you kind of get it here. So I thought, oh, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if I like it, but I'm not sure if it's just like, the technology at the time, but I don't know. I thought it was a little odd. I just said that little asterisk there. I thought, well, a bit strange, but otherwise, I don't think his vocals are bad here. They're okay for the song itself, but I was reading that this song is pretty catchy. So I'm assuming, Billy, you heard this. Did they play this live when you saw them last time?
Which one?
Fallen Fame.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they
Okay.
played fall. They actually had a pretty diverse set. There were like 3 songs from this album, 3 songs from the next,
Okay.
And then there were a couple from the later
Okay.
albums.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right.
What how was the fan reception? Was it big
No, it
or
was surprising. Like I was
yeah?
surprised. Like I was struck by given like it's a I
Yeah,
mean
German band.
it's German band. Like but then it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Right? Like some people are still sleeping and hungover. So it's always tough, like for those early shows.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't say they're a household name, so
Yeah,
that doesn't help either. Probably.
yeah.
Crazy. All right, so track number 4, Billy, we'll go with you. Immortal in Black. What do you think of it?
Yeah, no, I think it's a solid track. A little bit more mid-paced, I guess.
Mhm.
We get another catchy riff. Again, I've said it before, the riffs are the highlights for me.
Yeah.
On this album. They do some good like tempo and sudden riff changes again. They're good at doing that for variety. There's like a really interesting like a chugging riff at like 220. And in the background like no one else is playing but there's some light drumming
Hmm.
in place. Like that's a pretty cool part I thought. And then it kind of speeds up and that's where some great guitar work kicks in and yeah, like, and this is one where I hear some new album kind of influence in the song as well, mixed in there, versus just a pure like thrash track.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah,
that. I like his scream. He had that one little scream here at 322,
yeah,
which I kind
yeah.
of liked because it was just quick
He doesn't
and
do it often. Yeah,
yeah, he didn't. You're right. He didn't do it a lot, but it kind of worked here. He didn't sound strained.
yeah, no, exactly. It wasn't strained in any way.
I just thought it was kind of unique. You got that one little scream
Yeah,
beyond that, but it's a good song. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It has a lot of really good. I wrote down like a lot of powerful riffs. Like
Oh yeah.
it's a riff machine to me.
which is what they do best. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which what they do best. So Jim, you want any thoughts to this song?
You know, you guys said it all. It's a good, straightforward guitar track for me.
Yeah.
You got the leads, you got the riffs, the mini solos. I mean, it starts right off with the wicked guitar intro, and I find it's a good basic solid song. I like it, you know, and it's got a good spot in the album. Song 4, they're not reinventing anything here, but they don't need to. The guitar work is second to none as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So track 5, Sorrows of Judgment. I get like huge Exodus vibes on the song for me. Just there's a lot of catchy chugs. I kind of like it. What do you think, Jim?
Oh yeah,
you hear
very
that,
much
or?
so.
Okay.
Very much so. It's also got it's got a heavier, darker sound for me,
Mm,
and I think I like that. I wrote down Exodus musical vibe. I love the vocals on this track. This is one of my favorite vocals. It's definitely kind of, I wrote down, it's a toe tapper. So, you know, it's one of those ones that kind of, it's got a really good groove to it. And those fast drums, again, the guitars are great. I like it better than song 4
okay.
because I find the darker sound. It would be nice if they maybe went into that a little bit more. And the vocals I found were a little bit more kind of in control, and I like that. So, but yeah, a huge Exodus vibe on this song, big time.
I also picked out like at about 1:30. There's like a very quick guitar doodle with some jazzy bass.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I like that too. It was just like for maybe a couple seconds, but I thought, oh, that's interesting, and
Yeah,
he just threw it in
yeah,
there.
yeah. I got that in my notes at like
yeah.
156 or so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. I just thought, well, that's kind of unique.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Bill?
Yeah, no, I like this one. To me, this has a Exodus meets Merciful Fate a little bit to me.
Okay.
But yeah, no. So the like I really like that riff, like that main
Yeah.
riff in here. It's very European. To me, that riff actually sounds European, as opposed to that one kind of unusual doodle though. And that section at 136 with the bass coming in and the bass and guitar lead section, that sounds European to
Mhm.
me as well. But but most of the song, in the thrashy parts, you definitely get some Exodus. But what I like about here is the that last like 30 to 40 seconds, right? Like to me, it totally sounds like old Judas Priest. Like literally the whole ending of the track is he's like the riffing styles like Judas Priest, the singing styles like Priest, particularly the last 30 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point to point that out. Cool. All right. So the next song is another one like Fallen Saint. Xeron Dark Star for track 6 is what a lot of fans feel this is a really good song. It's like a sci-fi song, really. The whole lyrics are interesting because it's all about like finding this journey through unknown worlds, and then you find this you find yourself in the Twilight Zone, and then there's a new dawn rises. So it's kind of a unique song for the band. And Billy, we're going to stick with you on this track. What's your analysis of it?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is another one where I guess I find Mems a little bit more uncontrolled here.
Okay.
So in some parts, the vocals aren't my favorite, but yeah, musically, I think it's a good song, right? Like again, it sounds repetitive, but the riffs and guitar solos are really cool. There's a good instrumental run, kind of in the middle. It keeps my attention. Like I get some Slayer feel a little bit as
Mhm.
well. But yeah, no, it's good catchy chorus. I wouldn't call it one of the best tracks, but it's definitely a solid track. Again, I get thrown off with the upper range vocals in parts of this song.
I can see that. I just think it's a really good, like, solid thrash song.
Yeah.
It's got some heavy fuel to it, and it doesn't stop. I like I like it myself. I like the whole destruction kind. There's a bit of a destruction vibe. I thought at times, and with that sci-fi sound that they throw in there, so it's kind of a cool song for me. What do you think, Jim? You got anything to add
Well,
to
I
it?
think it's got the best title of the song
Yeah,
from the on the whole
absolutely.
album. It would
Yeah,
have been
yeah,
cool
yeah.
if they'd labeled the album that
Zero and Dark
name, because
Star.
then you could
Yeah,
be synonymous with the character that maybe he's Dark Star. I don't know.
yeah.
Anyways, but now you guys said it all. I like the kind of the vocal chant style that goes on in this, but it is a little bit uncontrolled. And I get a really massive old school thrash crossover vibe in this song, and it's definitely neat. I mean, it's a good song. Other than the vocals at times are a little bit kind of off the charts. But I do like the chant style that he kind of does throughout parts of it, if that makes sense. It's a good song.
Okay. Yeah, I like the song myself. I just saw online a lot of people were saying that they consider this like one of the better songs on the album. I
Really?
think it's decent. I think it's a
Oh,
decent
I
song.
think the best songs are 8 and 9.
Well,
Yeah, it's definitely not my
we'll,
favorite.
we'll get
Yeah.
we'll get to that. All right, so we'll move over to track 7, and Jim, we're gonna hang on with you for this one.
Yeah.
Reign of Sadness. What do you
This
think?
has got a really cool traditional intro, and the tempo changes are really neat. The heavy drums and bass in this really brings, as Billy said, I think on the track 5, more of a European vibe for me in this. At 2:03 cuts into a great solo. It's a really good song, and it's funny because here we are at track 7, and we're starting sort of that. 4 was pretty good. 5 was a bit better than 4. 6 was okay for me. We're starting to gain back some momentum because I think the best part of the album's coming up. And no, it's a pretty good preliminary song for what's coming in my mind.
Yeah, I think the song's a bit of a standard. Like, it's got the catchy chorus, it's got the tempo and the chug. It's frantic at times. I mean, it's a good song. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if it stands out as a great song, but it's
No.
just a standard song that they were put out. And did you have anything to add to the song, Billy?
Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoy the song. I mean, a couple of things I'd say, right? Like, I don't know, like in the songwriting, did they tell the drummer you have free reign here? Because if you listen to this track, there's drum fills like nonstop.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like they're all over the place, and it's the only song that he's actually doing it in. So, but it's cool. And somebody said it already. The bass is
Yeah.
well into the mix, so that makes this different. Uh, but it's not as aggressive as some of the other songs. And for me, again, here I'm getting the new album or definitely a Judas Priest vibe again into the musical sections. And the only other thing I think is interesting is that like at 1.5, like when the song really picks up, like
Yeah.
Mem's really singing quickly. Like that's the probably the fastest he sings on the entire album. Not necessarily the heaviest or the loudest or but he's like really spewing the lyrics, which is kind of cool. But I actually like it, maybe a bit more than you did, Ken. Like I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, I just thought it was kind of a standard what
Yeah.
we heard on the album. It's not something that really stands out for me, but it's okay. I know the same thing you said around the 130 mark with that. There's the vocals and the tempo, and the frantic tempo. I kind of like it there. It's pretty
Yeah.
solid, but it's a decent song. All right, so we'll stick with you on this one, Billy, for 8, and that's Journey to Oblivion. And what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, this one's good. Like this might
Mm.
be my favorite.
My favorite.
For sure. I mean, it rips like right out of the gate. It's heavy as hell. The drums are pounding.
Yeah.
And I like the vocals here. And this is weird because he'll go into his
Yeah.
upper range here, but it's still really well controlled,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I don't get why he was able to control it here so well. But yeah, so it's just a fun, aggressive track. Like I love the tempo and rhythm change at 112. Like it's really memorable for me. It lasts about like 30, 40 seconds. There's like a crazy solo at 140. Yeah, and the track overall is this heavy lower end, right? With the bass and the drums and another like really cool riff change at 308. Like it's just old school metal like goodness, I guess. So yeah, this definitely works. And the vocals are a mystery with how he can control the upper range here, but not in other places.
hard to say. Who knows? I do like the solo. I think the solo is really
Oh,
good.
solos.
Yeah, the solos are good.
That's the one thing I liked about this song, the solo. And Jim, you
Yeah,
like
this
like the
this one
song?
and the next one are my two favorites.
Okay.
This one here, I mean, it's aggressive, it's fast. The high vocals are again, like Billy said, for some reason it sounds so good on this. And I just got heavy thrash track. I love it. That cool guitar intro leads into that really thick chug. I like it, and I just think the album gets better as it on this track, and then obviously the next track I'm right into hugely. I think the album ends with these two tracks is really on a high for me.
Cool. So we're gonna stick with you for the last track. So
Oh
Silent Death. What do you think?
man, that cool guitar drum intro that plays off each other. It's very melodic. I find that double bass drum makes the song with the bass so heavy. It starts off with those guitar, those like mini solos, those leads. This song's got everything. Plus his vocals on this song is definitely a lower, darker register for me. And I think that's really cool. I think at 206, and there's fast-paced vocals on this. At 206, it slows into this massive chug. At 318, the cool guitar drums play off each other again, and the faster, heavier leads into a massive solo. And then welcome to Silent Death. I love the chorus is cool on this. This song has it all, and I'm always very critical of the last song on an album. Sometimes they do crappy shit, but not these guys, but bands do, like they put some silly stuff on there or whatever. This is a really good, if not a top track for me, hand in hand with song 8.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, Mem's vocals, I noted they were like dripping with nastiness. Yeah, he really got into the song, from I can tell.
And it's dark. It's more I agree. Like I like his higher vocals, but I can see where Billy's coming out with some of the uncontrollable parts. kind of do, they kind of like, you're like, what the hell? You're asking a question like, what is this? But this, I mean, even the higher vocals on song 8, they were much more control and match the song better. I think this is great. I think this is a way to end off the album.
I also get a lot of creator vibes on this one.
Yeah, this has
You
more.
can
This has more
really hear
European
it.
sound to it.
Yeah, yeah. I that was the first thing I was like, this is like, oh, obviously there's a lot of creator influence on the song.
Yeah.
This is what I got out of it. And Billy, what did you get anything beyond what we said on this about the song?
Yeah, you guys kind of covered it. Like I like it, and I probably like 8 a little bit more than 9, but like
Okay.
they're both like really great tracks. The only thing I'd say to your creator point, I agree
Yeah.
with that. But go to the end of the song.
Mhm.
Like if somebody didn't know, like if you just play like those final words, welcome, welcome,
Come.
welcome
Oh
to
yeah,
the
yeah.
silence. You close your eyes, that's
Mhm.
100% sounds like Millie. It doesn't sound anything like Mem. It's
Yeah.
like you would swear Millie's doing that final words. Like maybe it's because it's maybe it's their accent, like the German accent
Yeah.
is making
Yep.
it sound. But like I can't believe like it sounds identical to Millie, and it doesn't anywhere else. Like he doesn't sing like Millie, but
No.
like in that particular final words of the song, it sounds exactly like him.
Okay. Yeah,
Cool.
you're right. Yeah, I'll have to go back and listen to the end again.
Yeah, he just says like welcome, welcome,
Welcome,
welcome to
welcome.
the
Yeah.
silence, right? Like he sings it, but
Yeah. I'll have to give it another spin later just to see that. But yeah, I think the song is good too. I don't mind the song at all. It's the longest song on the album. And by when you get to the 3:30 mark, it just goes insane. It goes so frantic, and yeah, it's a pretty decent way to end off the album. I don't have an argument with it for being number 9. So where it's slotted is fine. Maybe 8 should have been flip flopped. You go 9, you go Silent Death, then you go Journey to Oblivion. That might have been the
that would
better.
have been my thing too. But
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I think that might have been the better way to end it, but either song is still
yeah, they're
good.
both
So
good.
yeah, you can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings our album analysis to a close. Do you guys have any final thoughts you want to add on here?
Check out this album and the second album.
Yes.
They, definitely. And I like their latest album. I got to admit, I really liked
Yes.
it. I'm actually going to track it down after maybe this evening because, that I thought it was really good. And I can't believe I remember I've listened to it a few times, but didn't really. Bands like this sometimes fall off a little bit for me if they're, because you look at their bio and it's in the band, they shut it down, they started it back up. The consistency for me is a little bit hard to follow.
Yeah, it is, but
Yeah.
technically speaking, both Ray Mansion and Mem are the band.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're so technically reforming it with those two makes the most sense.
Oh, absolutely.
At
And
least
what
from
was
my
the story with why Mem left after the first album?
I think from what I remember is he had a bit of a falling out with Ray
Hmm.
at the time. I don't. I just saw a couple quick articles, but it didn't really go into detail. It just said that he had a somewhat slight differences from what the album, and
Hmm.
that's why he left. And then they brought in Paul. Well, Paul was always there
Yeah.
in the background. So no, not Paul. Sorry, my Eric Kari, whatever his name. Can't remember his last name properly.
Hmm.
Mark, yes, yeah, that guy. Yeah, Paul Arakari is he was there technically anyway, so I'm not too sure. I like his vocals. Do you guys like his vocals in the second album?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought so. I thought he sounded a lot like Tom Ara to me. He had that kind
Yeah.
of Slayer vibe at times, and I think one of you guys mentioned that it has a very Slayer kind of vibe to it. The whole
Yeah.
album
I
itself.
thought the second album
Yeah.
was a Slayer vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's why. Yeah, so I don't mind him. I don't mind it. It's interesting. I mean, like I said, I still like Fire and Damnation. I still love that album. I think it has a lot of the first two elements of the first two albums in it, so it's catchy for me. But Jim's right. Their last album is pretty solid if you
Hmm.
don't track it down. It's probably I have it. I bought it when it came out. Because I bought all the albums when they came out. I was really kind of into the band. Oh, I get back into buying their stuff, and
Cool.
I like all three. I like all three albums that they put out. You know. All right. Any other final thoughts now before we move into the last segment?
Yeah, I'm good.
No. Okay. Billy.
Oh no, sorry. No,
No
I'm
worries. No problem. Okay.
good.
All right. So I came up with this idea. I thought like to do a top 10 because since this band is technically a lot of American thrash metal worship, I thought, well, what if we found other bands who had the Bay Area or even just the thrash, American thrash style, and but they weren't from America. So it could be very kind of diverse. So we're doing that as our top 10. And who wants to start off tonight?
I'll go.
Okay, go for it, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, these it's up for, I guess it would be up for debate on like
Sure.
exactly, but I wanted to kind of I took this a little bit as I wanted to kind of seek out some stuff that I may not have been familiar with, but
Sure.
I'm just going to go through a couple of things and then state my case why. But I obviously picked Exumer. I find they're obviously a German band that has a very much a sound mixed with so many different genres, but definitely the has I guess pays homage to the West, the Bay Area thrash movement. But I also think that like another pick of mine, and they're not really in order, would be Sepultura Arise. Parts of that musically definitely has, not vocally, but musically for me, has kind of a bit of a Bay Area sound too. And that would make sense because on that album, they were definitely hitting into the North American market a little bit more heavier than the first albums. So that would definitely make sense. Another band, I got a few German bands here, which were kind of neat. And I picked maybe some albums because I didn't really want to kind of pigeonhole them for just this is how they sound. But the band Vendetta, Black as Coal, I find has a really cool Slayer vibe to it. A lot of the album, I thought they're very kind of similar in that sense. Another one that would be more of a Death Angel vibe for me would be a band called Iron Angel from Germany.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Their album, I think it's Emerald Eyes, has kind of a mix between Death Angel and maybe a little bit of Exodus kind of vibe that I get out of it, more so than the usual German thrash vibe that a lot of the German have their own sound. Another one from the album Bleed from 1999, Angel Dust.
Oh yeah, it's a great album.
They're another German band. They got kind of a mix of some songs on there that sound very kind of Bay Area-ish to me. Another one I picked up, this one, a Contortion from Switzerland. I wanted to kind of go a little global here, so I kind of wanted to go all over. I wasn't totally familiar with this band, but they came up when I started searching, and they definitely have a Bay Area sound. And then I went with a Japanese band, so I'm not as knowledgeable on this. One's called United. Don't know if you're familiar with these guys, but the album Bloody But Unbound, man, it sounds like a Bay Area thrash band. It's pretty cool. That was pretty neat. Another one I picked up that I didn't really know, but I knew of the album Tears of Blood by Silverfish.
Oh yeah, I heard
from
that.
Spain.
Yeah.
So they're a Spanish thrash band. They've got kind of a bit of a Bay Area sound to me. What else do I have? I also picked, I forgot, I think it's Australia, Destroyer 666.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I find they have kind of a bit of, every time I listen to that, I think to myself, wow, man, this I'll be honest, at first I didn't realize I think they're Australian, so I didn't realize, and they came up, I think they were on both your guys' list last week.
Yeah, there was
which was pretty cool. And then a very known UK band, but I'm picking this album, The Force by Onslaught. Now, all Onslaught albums sound Bay Area. They have their own sound. I love Onslaught, but I found The Force kind of, maybe because it's from 1986, excuse me, but I find it's got a bit of a Bay Area elements to it. I mean, I could have gone with maybe something from Zentrix or whatever, but I found this represented for me that a little bit more. So those are my 10, and it was kind of neat because it was a great exercise because a couple of these bands I wasn't familiar with, and now I've got them, like I'm streaming them and listening to them, and then thinking about maybe picking up some of their catalogs. So kind of cool to like an eye opener, an ear opener for me.
Cool. Okay. All right. And Billy, let's hear your list.
I don't think we had any overlap other than
Oh,
the
I
obvious
didn't.
Exumer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I have Exumer too. So
Yeah, okay.
that's a
Uh,
given.
yeah. So yeah, these are in no particular order. So I went Evil from the UK. I mean, that's an obvious one. Huge Metallica influences there. And interestingly, their last album
Yeah.
Yeah.
decided to go do the Black Album,
Yeah.
which
I
Terrible
knew
album.
that.
I remember reviewing, and I was just like, I fell over in my chair, like this is too late to do this album in your
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
That was called The Unknown. I was just shocked.
Yeah.
But anyways, what can you do? And then going back to our Australia show, Harlot. So that's definitely has a Bay Area thrash sound. You get Testament, Exodus, everything kind of mixed in there. But they always do a good job. I enjoy all their stuff. Number three, Exumer. We talked about that. Number four is a band that I love, Zentrix,
Yeah.
from the UK. They definitely have some West Coast thrash influence in their music, and they even did a Black album with their
Yeah. That's right.
album
They did.
called Kin as well. So that's there. Then one of my favorite bands, and one of the I think most criminally underrated, is the German band Paradox.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so
Yeah.
for me, like they definitely have some of the Bay Area riffing sound, but they very much also have the European like speed metal, power metal, melodic thing as well, right? So they really do a good job coming together with that. So when you listen to it, they don't sound like they sound very unique, but
Mhm.
they're actually pulling pieces from different areas, and they've been around forever. New album coming out soon, so that's cool. Then again, in Germany, I never know how to pronounce this damn name, Pyra Kanda.
Oh yes, yeah.
The album Two Sides of a Coin. So when you listen to that, definitely, maybe not, I mean, definitely West Coast and not all thrash because you get some Metal Church, but you definitely get some Metallica and Forbidden mixed in there as well. That one album. That's a pretty cool album. Came out in 1990. Most people, you never hear it talked about too
The
much.
cover's nice.
Sorry?
The cover's really cool to that
Yeah, the
album.
cover is really kind of interesting. Yeah, I was able. Dive Bombed Records did a reissue of it a
Okay.
couple of years back. So like, and they have a really nice story about the band. So then I'm going to Canada for two of them. So again, speaking of underrated, sadly underrated bands, I'm gonna go to Toronto's Dioxin,
Oh yeah,
First
yeah.
Among Equals from 1989. So like, I mean, everyone, I mean, from the minute, in 90 in or 89, when I found out about this album, I was reading a review, and the first thing it was, man, if you like Megadeth Peace Cells, then you gotta love this album. It definitely has that feel, but vocally, you actually get Forbidden, right? So to me,
Mhm.
it's even better because the vocals trump Mustaine. And then Canada again, Infernal Majesty,
Yeah,
None
yeah,
Shall Defy. So there, I mean, two things I hear in there. I get Possessed, Seven Churches, and I get Slayer's Hell Awaits.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good example of it. Going to the UK Reanimator, the album
Oh, good
Condemned
choice.
to Eternity. So you get like Testament and Metallica in here. The vocals have a Chuck Billy kind of a feel to them. So yeah, it's a good album that. And then lastly, the band Death Wish. I
Oh
always
yeah, yeah.
they
That's
had
the.
I think they only had like one or two albums
I
if
think
I
it's one
remember
album.
right.
I thought it was
Uh,
one.
yeah, but they have a heavy like Slayer, Metallica
Yeah,
feel to their music as well. That's my 10.
cool. Yeah, we have some overlap, but that yeah, I knew we would have some between the three of us, anyways.
Mm.
So number 10, I went to Greece and I added Biocancer. The first album, Ear Piercing Thrash in 2012, is probably the most identifiable. You'll hear Slayer, you'll hear early Metallica and Megadeth. Of course, a lot of these bands, when they start out, you're imitating the bands or the bands that you grew
Hmm.
up hearing. And eventually, once you start putting other albums out, you start growing and maturing, which this band has definitely done that. But I always like them. I think it's a solid album. Number 9, I have Hades. Now, this is from Italy. They had
Mhm.
a lot of Exodus vibes when they started out.
It's a
Vocalist
good band.
Marco. Yeah. I like this band. I've
Yeah.
always liked this band. 4 solid albums. Their first album, Abuse Your Illusion, has a lot of it. Has a definitely a Exodus vibe to it. But again, as I was saying, after 2 or 3 albums, they start to mature and change their sound, and then they start to sound more original, as opposed to like taking a style from a more existing band. But they're worth seeking if you don't have any of their albums. Number 8, I've talked about this band before, is Wolfpack Unleashed from Austria. Only one album. They're still a band, apparently, that they haven't broken up. Anthem of Resistance came out in 2007. Lots of Testament worship on the album, lots of Testament kind of style riffs. The vocalist has somewhat of a Chuck Billy style at times, although he kind of goes off into his own little territory often. But that's a really good album. If you don't have it, seek it out. Number 7, I have Angelus Apertura from Spain. 8 albums. I like these guys too. They don't get a lot of talk. Their earlier albums have a lot of big four. They were really in the first couple of, especially the first album, Evil Unleashed in 2006. They were really much influenced by Slayer and a lot of Jeff Hanneman style riffs. So you could hear it a lot. Their later stuff is kind of growing, so they're not really following that style anymore. But that first album, Evil Unleashed, is pretty solid. And then number
Ken,
6,
sorry to interrupt, but given
yeah,
that you were in Spain there, yeah, I just thought about it. Something
yeah,
I should have had on my list. A new band I discovered, like so similar to them. Do you know from Spain, Chrysix?
yep.
Yeah, like they're pretty cool, and like that's one that should have been at the top of my list because that's like God, that totally is Bay Area thrash
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
to the extreme.
they take a lot of Anthrax, and yeah, you're right. I
Yeah, I get like Death Angel,
Yeah.
Death Angel, yep.
Testament. Like it really uses Bay Area all the way.
Yeah, and I know they also have that kind of Anthrax moshing style
Yeah,
at
but they're
times.
often compared to the band you just mentioned.
Yeah,
They
okay, yeah,
usually go hand in hand.
yeah. I could see that. Yeah, I could kind of see that. Angelus is a bit older. They've been around a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
longer.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the 8 albums out. I like them. I know I reviewed their last album for the Metal Pit like last year.
yeah,
Solid band, solid band. Not a lot of people know about them, but if you do, yeah,
yeah.
they're worth checking out. Number 6, I did put Suicidal Angels on the list. They have a lot of their earlier albums do have a lot of Slayer kind of aggression and lyrics and stuff like that. Again, they've kind of grown up too. They've changed their sound a lot. They have a lot more nowadays. I'd say they're a lot more like Creator, Sodom. They go that kind of almost black, not quite black metal, but that kind of blackened.
Black and Thrash.
Yeah, they're great. I love the vocals.
Wicked album. Their
Oh yeah,
latest.
the new album is awesome. Profane Prayer is totally
Yeah.
awesome. And here's another band at 5 I've talked about, Ritual Carnage from Japan. The vocalist Danny Carnage sounds a lot like sort of a cross between Russ Anderson and Joey Belladonna. Great stuff. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if they're broken up, but they've gone inactive after 4 albums. But their earlier albums had a lot of violence and forbidden style riffing. Go check out I Infidel, which I think is a fantastic album, one of my favorites. So they're on my list. Number 4, I have Ultra Violence from Italy. I like these guys too. They had a lot of Overkill and Exodus comparisons in the first album, Privileged to Overcome from 2013. Now the thing about this band is they get a lot of shit online because now they've changed their style to metalcore alternative rock.
Ah.
the last two albums are not even recognizable from what they started out with. So they get a lot of flack online, and it's too bad because I actually like their first two albums. The last two, I don't know what the hell's going on. It's like an In Flames kind of change your style. It's crazy. And number three, Exumer. You know, when we talked about them, they're on your list. Number two is Zentrix. Again, I know Billy mentioned it, but yeah, there's a lot of Metallica worship, a lot of James Hetfield style singing on their albums. And I put Evil number one, but for the same reasons as you did, Billy, because they were that first album. To me, is so influenced by Metallica, and obviously they were a Metallica cover band before they actually became an official band. Um, and you know, and they even went on and got Fleming Rasmussen to actually produce the album. So it's kind of like, okay, you really wanted to be Metallica at the start out. But I love that first album. Enter the Grave is one of those modern thrash albums that I just love. I just love the style. I love the bombastic style. There's a lot of Slayer, a lot of Metallica, but I don't know. It works for me. But that's my top 10.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it
thought
was a good
good
top
episode.
10. It was a good exercise because
Yeah. But
I had to
yeah,
do some homework.
I thought it'd be kind of neat to look at other bands, and we obviously all three of us have bands from all over the world, so it's
Yeah.
kind of cool. It's cool to do that. You can go look some of this stuff up, and I'm sure people who listen to our podcast may not even know half these bands. So it's great to hear the podcast and then go out and research and find some of these albums. So, but
Cool.
yeah. Any final thoughts, guys?
No,
Nope.
No.
good.
Okay. All right. So we've come to the end of the show. So I just wanted to thank both Billy and Jim for coming on with me tonight to talk about Exumer, since it was my pick this week. Next week, Jim will be taking the reins. And Jim, go ahead if you want to announce what you got going.
Oh yeah, well we're gonna be heading back to Germany, so we're gonna be talking about Creator's Extreme Aggression from 1989. You know, a momentous album, I think. I mean, I love Creator. I love pretty much all of their catalog. We've talked about it in length in our original Creator podcast.
Mhm.
So it'll be nice to really talk about this one. I've always felt this one was the one that kind of got the attention of maybe the North American fan base a little bit more, and you know, I can't wait to sink our teeth into it.
Cool. Yeah,
Cool.
it'll be a good show.
Yeah.
My
Definitely be a
favorite
good show.
Creator album.
There you go.
There you
Mine
go.
too.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah.
You know, so it'll be good. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for coming on with me. So I'm glad we got together again in our weekly show to talk about our favorite subject, Thrash. And with that, we'll sign off and see you all next week.
All
Good
right.
night.
Night.